Bradley, how is it that you came to the teaching?
I came to the teaching by way of a little mountain cabin in the hills above Los Angeles. My mother found one of the master's books at a neighbor's house on a coffee table, and so she read it and was so touched by it, the simplicity, it resonated the truth, that she wrote the publishers, which she never does, and they wrote back and said, yes, we have other books by this very same person, Omram Mikhail Ivanov. And incidentally, there are some people in the Los Angeles area that also would like to meet people who are interested in the works of Omram Mikhail Ivanov. Dr. Johnny Boney and his wife, Mary Therese, were made responsible by the Master to bring the teaching to America. And it just so happened that they lived in Los Angeles, not far from where we lived, and it gave us the opportunity to personally meet them and spend time with them. And our relationship developed and grew to the point where we were now visiting the Boatman, meeting the Master personally, being with the brothers and sisters. And in those days, the vibration was incredible. There was such a current of excitement in the air, the building that was going on, the singing that was going on. If it was so magical, because if you needed perhaps a ride into town, it just manifested itself right before you. A person could walk by and say, does anybody need to go to town? And just moments ago you thought, yeah, I need to go to town. Yeah, sure, I'll go with you. And it just, everything clicked. It was amazing. I had been working in Alexandria, Egypt on a psychic archaeology documentary, and I was exposed to the sensitivities of clairvoyance and things of that nature. And my mother wanted to meet this master. She found his books to be so accurate, and she asked if I would come and join her on my way back to Los Angeles. One of the things that I was a little bit reluctant to do was to go to the Boatman, because I heard it was a spiritual center and people pray and they meditate and they have a particular custom and ways, and I thought that was unnecessary. But to my surprise, these were people my same age that were in all walks of life, and there was a joy. There was this idea of propagating a light, and I found that very perplexing at first. What kind of light are we talking about? I know the light you see with your eyes, but no, this was an invisible spiritual light that we work with. And for me, it just sort of felt good. It just felt that I should be there and I should learn these things from this teacher. When I arrived at the Boatman, my brother came to greet me at the front gate, and he said, "You have just come to a magic place." And I said, "Oh, jeez." I said, "I'll decide if it's magic or not." About 3 days later, I was walking around where all the people worked on cars, tools, welders, and there was a mechanic. I didn't see him, only his feet hanging out under a vehicle. And he took a wrench and he threw it out on the dirt. And there was this aura around his wrench, glowing. And I thought, I've never seen something like that before. That's amazing. And that moment did something to me, that yes, this master indeed had an influence on everybody. And this invisible light, that it was a real thing. And it really took me by surprise, and at the same time, I was totally enchanted with the experience. I had been working in Alexandria, Egypt on a psychic archaeology documentary, and I was exposed to the sensitivities of clairvoyance and things of that nature. And my mother wanted to meet this master. She found his books to be so accurate, and she asked if I would come and join her on my way back to Los Angeles. I didn't really want to go at first, but I did go, and I'm glad I did. It forever changed my life. Fortunately, there were some people that did speak English, and one of them happened to be the head of the publishing arm. He was a Belgian, and he asked if I wouldn't mind with my cameras go around and take photographs, still photographs of the various activities at the Boatman, for perhaps they would use them in the books. I was sure, no, I would love to do that. And that gave me the opportunity to, again, meet new brothers and sisters from different countries and just see in more depth all the various activities. There were so many artistic people there, sculpture, piano, you name it, making clothing. It was a wonderful opportunity for a photographer. And when I look at the pictures 20, 25 years later, they are excellent because of the light of these people. They're vegetarians. They sing every day, at least 12 songs a day. Their auras are very nice and luminous, and it's reflected in the photographs. There was an opportunity to have a personal one-on-one rendezvous with the Master. It's a great, great privilege. It's hard to explain how it is because you don't feel your feet about 3 or 4 days after the rendezvous. His light just propels you up. You're looking at your body from about 20 feet in the air for the next 2 or 3 days. It's a real genuine experience. But I did ask him, he asked me first, how can I help you? And I turned the question around and said, no, how can I help you, Master? I was really humble about it. And he said, I will ask the invisible world. I'll think about it. We talked about a few other things. And I left. But 4 months later, I received a phone call from a sister that I had been writing letters to. And I could feel the Master's current, his energy come down the phone line, go around the phone. And I said, this is from the Master. There's no and, it, or buts about it. It's a genuine, the Master is behind this phone call. And he asked if I would come to the fraternity one summer with my movie camera and make a film on the life at the Boatman. Yes, I filmed the Master in the summer of 1982. He gave permission personally to me to come to the Sunrise and film the fraternity with him at the Rocher. Also, the gymnastics. I filmed the Master from a very few feet away. And I'll say that in all my years of filming and being under pressure, nothing compares with trying to film the Master so close. It was unbelievable. I could feel adrenaline squirting out of my ears. It was the hardest thing I ever did, and it's probably the simplest thing to just film one man doing some exercises. When I was able to film the Master, he knew about it a day before. We had a rendezvous, and I asked him if I could film him after the respiration exercise at the Sunrise, and he agreed. And I also asked him if I could film him doing the gymnastics in front of perhaps almost 1,000 brothers and sisters. It was The Master came to California many times, but on 3 separate occasions he did visit our family home. He liked, I have many brothers, and he liked their robust, friendly, playful way, and I think he enjoyed himself when he came to our home. On one occasion, he married my wife and myself. On another occasion, he spoke with us with a few brothers and sisters. He walked around our swimming pool alone with our dog Bundle, a big collie, and it was nice. He was taking it in. He was smelling the orange blossoms. He was admiring the water, the fountain. It was nice to see him alone with a dog. It left an impression on me. And then he came inside and he said, I've been telling the brothers and sisters for years that the Bulgarian roses were the finest, the greatest. But after smelling your orange blossoms, I may just have to change my mind. Would visit. But on one occasion we had been growing an organic garden in Malibu, California, so we decided to take the Master the fruits, the vegetables that we had been growing, and when we came to the home that he was staying at, that was Johnny Boney and Mary Teresa, they said, you just wait in the living room and the Master, he'll come down the hall from the bedroom and see you. I said, fine. We didn't really ask for a rendezvous. We just wanted to leave the vegetables. But they said, no, he'd like to see you. And in those moments of waiting for the Master, I discovered something that it just kind of, again, it was overwhelming, that through the cracks of the door, around outlining the door, it was like this light was being projected, what you experience at a sunrise, just before the sun across the horizon, there's the initial rays that aren't direct sun rays. It's just like an aura of light. And it was coming through all the door. And I went, oh my gosh, this is new to me. And then the door opens and the Master comes walking down the hall, and it just kind of grew and grew. And I was really taken in by it. The first visit or two with the Master was more family, close family. On one occasion, we had brothers and sisters from our Los Angeles group also attend. And I think there was about 12 of us together. And the Master came and he sat down in a comfortable chair and he looked at all of us. And then he simply said, does anybody have a question for me? And to my surprise, nobody said a thing. It was completely silent. I mean, these are the same brothers and sisters who have no trouble talking, but nobody could talk now. And I felt a little embarrassed. I said, somebody say something, please. He's traveled a great distance to be with us. Well, I came to the occasion. I said, part of being a brother in the fraternity, you have to have a little courage now and then. So I asked the Master, how do you know if you're doing the right thing? And he took his beard and he started caressing it. And he looked off and then he said, why, that's a very important question. I based my entire teaching on that one question. And I thought to myself, I don't think I'm really intelligent, but I'm interested. he gave us an answer that I wasn't expecting at all. He began by saying, suppose you'd like to visit a friend across town, and you must release it. Release that thought and think of nothing for 2-3 seconds, 10 minutes maximum. He says, because behind that thought comes a feeling. And if it's, he went like this with his hands, he says, if it's golden, it's expanding, and it's warm. That's a yes. Your friend is indeed home. Everybody is waiting to hear this great truth that the Master is going to say. And he says such a simple statement. Imagine you want to go visit a friend across town, and you release that thought, and you wait 2-3 seconds, no more than 10 seconds, he say, because if you feel a warmth, an expansion, he says, across your solar plexus, your chest area here, and it just feels warm. He said, golden, warm, that's a yes. If you feel uncertain, cold, it's cool, that's a no. Your friend's not there, or your friend has no time to be with you. And then I thought, that's all initiatic science and just that one explanation? I said, but Master, I have one more question. What about if a bird lands very close to you and sings a beautiful song? How should we interpret that? He said, no, don't. It's too complicated. Concentrate on the inside changes. You would be confused with the outside. So I've worked with it. Well, after the Master had left, back to France perhaps, wherever he went, I thought about that. The whole teaching is in that one question. What could it mean? And what if you don't feel any warmth, or you don't feel that cold? I mean, you get nowhere. And so I learned by studying in the books, reading the Master. I had volumes of handwritten notes from my Boatman, and there was one sentence that really caught my eye, and that is that we must become infinitively small to realize how great God is, how grand God is. And that was a real key. I couldn't feel because I had too many things going on. My mind, my desires, they were all overlapping one another. So I took the opportunity to go to sunrises and each day consecrate a moment of my day to intense meditation or prayer work, just to get smaller and smaller and smaller, so where I could be at a place where I could feel that warmth or that cool. And it took a long time. The Master has given us all a lot of information, but we also have to work with that information and not rely exclusively on what he said. This is my personal feelings. And I learned one thing personally myself, is that unless we spiritually build a seat of intuition, a place inside ourselves where we can direct mentally our questions right to, and that place is where the feelings will be revealed. And the Master also told us the great initiates worked with the energies of vibration, radiation, and emanation. And they each have different characteristics. Vibrations are like waves. Radiation is like the lines of the sun, the straight lines. They come out in all directions. And emanations are without form, yet they have color and intensity. And when those characteristics of one of the three come to your seat of intuition, to a question that you have mentally put there, it tells you the truth. You don't have to calculate in your mind. You have to feel the answer. And so I found it very exciting, that finally, finally in my life, I could feel something. But then again, I needed to really test it. I wasn't sure, completely, it's spiritual, it's invisible. It's not like you see something and go, there it is. So, how do you test it? Well, for me, I just thought of something basic. I said, how many phone calls will I receive in my production office tomorrow? And so mentally I count. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. I feel something in my solar plexus. Like a tick. 12, 13, 14, 15. Nothing. I go back again. I go back over that 9, 10, 11, 12. 11 again. I go, okay, I have to pick a number. It's 11. Next day, phone rings all day long. By the time I go to bed, only 10 phone calls came in. I thought, well, it's remarkable. I was that close, but it's not perfect. So anyway, I fall asleep, and I'm woken up by a phone ringing 15 minutes before 12 midnight. It's the fax machine. I got 11 calls. I was right. My intuition was correct. It was fantastic. One of the important aspects of the Master's teaching is awareness. And we must be aware that we can do things when nobody else is doing them. And suppose you're at a post office standing in line, or you're in a grocery market, and use that time wisely and do something selfless without expectation of something. And there's so much that the Lord God, our Creator, has given us that we have to, be grateful for. And if we start to think of all the blessings and all the good things that have occurred in our life, and bring them into your solar plexus, your heart area, and just think of something and bring it here. Oh, that was a marvelous time. I was so fortunate. And you'll feel a little pressure growing. And that's good. When you have the pressure, and it's sufficient, you will transfer it into your aura. And you can do this within 10 seconds. It doesn't take long at all. And it's in your aura. And now you look around for somebody else, and you tell your aura, walk over to that person, and pour all that love that you have compressed into their aura. Okay? And it will go and do it. And that person's aura will absorb all that thing and not even know it. And I had an experience when I did it one time where the person, as soon as my aura was pouring into their aura, they flinched real quickly. So it kind of reminded me, it's working. And now you separate company. They go their way, you go yours. Everybody that their aura comes in contact with will receive your love vibration. You're raising the love. And that's important. The brothers and sisters need to be aware that they can do things.